Hello everybody, it's Foxy speaking, and welcome to another episode of Foxy's Fun Inspirational Chats. And today I will be your host. And this one, yes, before one asks, oh yes, 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 or yes, as Shaq would say, the basketball player. Oh my goodness. This is the continuation of learning steam railway history with Foxy. We don't learn steam railway history. What about the American steam railway history? What about basketball? What about pancakes and basketball? Something Shaq would probably say. You're under arrest for not telling an American story. If you tell a story right now, you're stuck being arrested by me. No, anything you say, Shaq, anything you say when you're arresting me, anything you say. Or if there was a different 7-foot guy gonna chase me around the streets just to talk about an American preserved railway because I didn't do it. Oh no, how terrible. He's 7 foot. I recommend you run as fast as you can, run into the nearest building you can, and whilst he's running he bangs his head. Well, not particularly funny for the person, but just as a means of seeking safety shelter. No, alright. Right, where was I? We did the Welsh pool. Oh, here we are. Now we're on the next one. East Lancashire Railway, Greater Manchester, Lancashire, Bury. 6 miles, 6.5 kilometres west of Rochdale. And East Lancashire Railway is where my friend Stepney sometimes goes to, and he's a rail enthusiast as well, just to say. He's a little bit older than I am. We've not met yet, but it's possible we're going to meet at the National Railway Museum sometime in 2024, if chance allows. This 8.5 mile, 13.5 kilometre line is an eye-opener to anyone who thinks of the industrial part of Lancashire as being irredeemably spoilt by the past. Following the course of the River Irwell for its whole length, the line passes through the attractive Rossendale Valley with well-wooded hills and a network of footpaths for those who wish to explore the valley. Yet there is hardly a mile of the East Lancashire Railway where sidings did not feed into the line from adjacent mills or quarries. Today, though, you will need someone who knows the area's history, or a good guidebook and a sharp eye to identify their remains, which diminish with each summer's growth. Some cotton mills still stand, but few serve their original purpose, and most are converted to flats or are used by small businesses. These days, when the railway tapped these countless sources of traffic and took their products for export all over the world, seem almost as remote as the pack-horse trains and canal barges which preceded them. The most interesting and relaxing way to reach the southern terminus of the line at Bury Bolton Street is by Metrolink, the light rail network that runs from Altrincham through the centre of Manchester to Bury. The short walk between the two stations can pass the art gallery and museum, which has a remarkable collection of Victorian paintings, including work by Turner. The station at Bolton Street is typical of the secondary town station, with two platforms and loops for through trains. East Lancashire trains may well be hauled by visiting locomotives as a comparatively recent addition to the ranks of the tourist railways. Most of its own locomotives from Bury are still under restoration. Departing trains almost immediately entered a short tunnel, its northern portal crenellated to commemorate the medieval castle that was evacuated when the tunnel was built. The railway passes close to Peel Mill, once owned by the Peel family, whose best-known member, Robert, became Prime Minister and founder of the police force, hence Peelers. The first station is at Somerset, an industrial village dominated by the East Lancashire Railway's 13-span, 200-yard, 182-metre Brooks Bottom Viaduct. The listed Hoyle Mill is now converted into luxury flats, and the adjacent mill offices and pump room, which straddle the River Irwell, have been converted into a pub and restaurant. I like a nice pub and restaurant from time to time. The second tunnel after Somerset has an unusual north portal. Nuttall Tunnel was built at the insistence of the owner of Nuttall Hall, so that the railway would not impede its view of the river. The East Lancashire's directors decided to make a virtue out of necessity and create an elaborate, turreted and crenellated face to the tunnel, into which were set what are thought to be carved faces of the directors. The expanse of Nuttall Park can be seen to the greatest east as you cross a 275-yard, 251-metre girder viaduct. The Grant family that lived at Nuttall Hall was immortalised by Charles Dickens as the Cheeryble brothers in Nicholas Nickleby. The park, which is now publicly owned, can be visited on foot from the next station at Ramsbottom. This picturesque town is well worth exploring with the help of a leaflet for a walk that takes in the Ramsbottom Heritage Centre and other sites of interest. There are also walks up Holcombe Hill to the commemorative Peel Tower with various pubs en route for refreshment. Leaving Ramsbottom, the train passes the site of extensive sidings and runs along an embankment with the river on the right. The valley narrows before the former junction at Stibbons, where the main line to Accrington continued straight ahead, while the East Lancashire swings to the right. It appears that the line is dropping down, but this illusion is caused simply by the steeper gradient of the Accrington line to the west. In fact, the East Lancashire line climbs steadily all the way from Bury to Journey's End at Rawtenstall. Look out for the imposing Alberbottom Viaduct on the Accrington line. Its poor structural condition ended proposals to reopen this route. Irwell Vale Station is another good starting point for walks. Booklets are available at Bury and Rawtenstall tourist information centres. As well as the Irwell Valley Way, there are easy routes from here to Helmshaw Textile Museum and Mill, and to Stubbins Nature Reserve. The Irwell Way Sculpture Trail has works by British and foreign artists punctuating a pleasant walk. The historic town of Rawtenstall, with its mill shops, Market Hill, Whitaker Park and the Rosendale Museum, also has Britain's last temperance bar, where you can sample such ancient recipes as black beer or dandelion and burdock. Train service, weekends and bank holidays, also Fridays from mid-July to August. Santa's specials telephone 0161 764 7790. Isle of Man Steam Railway, Isle of Man, Douglas. For a small island of 220 square miles, 570 square kilometres, the Isle of Man is well blessed with surviving railways, and no visitor to the island should leave without a journey on at least one. The Manx Electric Railway continues in its second century of operation to perform an important transport function, linking the capital of Douglas with Ramsey. The Snaefell Mountain Railway, Britain's only electric mountain railway, takes visitors to the 2,036 feet, 620 metre summit, and the island's newest railway, the Groundle Glen, is a reconstruction of the Victorian Railway that took visitors to a sea lion pool and beer pit, using one of the original locomotives, but those in search of steam had for the 3 feet 900 millimetre gauge Isle of Man steam railway, which runs from Douglas to the seaside resort of Port Erin. The 15 3/8 mile, 24.5 kilometre line is the last route of the Isle of Man Railway that once also served Peel, Foxdale and Ramsey. Even this remnant nearly closed during the late 1960s and early 70s, but the more far-sighted members of Tynwald, the island's parliament, urged its retention, and in 1976 the government agreed to buy it. The railway is now an intrinsic part of the island's tourist industry. And the year of the railway celebrations, in 1993 brought tens of thousands to the island to ride on the various lines and the special trains. The reason for that enthusiasm is easy to understand after taking the train from Douglas to Port Erin. You will be hauled by one of the original little tank engines. Once there were 15, the first arriving on the island for the opening of the first line to Peel in 1873. The carriages are also original Isle of Man stock. So many have been rebuilt, or at least refostered. The station is still imposing, built like others on the Port Erin line in the distinctive Ruabon brick. But it is no longer easy to see how the station once handled 100 trains a day, since the platforms have been reduced in number. The 65-minute journey is as delightful as ever, the steep gradients of the Port Erin line reflecting the rolling hills and eliciting a vigorous exhaust beat from the locomotive. Before the first station is reached at Port Soderick, passengers enjoy views over the coast and can still disembark there to visit the beach and cove. Passing through woods where in early summer there are fine displays of rhododendrons, you reach Castle Town with its magnificent medieval fortress of Castle Rushen before the unspoilt town of Port Erin. The station here offers not only a museum about the railway, but also good cakes in the station tea room. Train service daily from April to October. Centre specials, telephone 01624 662 525. Keighley and Worth Valley Railway, West Yorkshire. Keighley, 9 miles, 14.5 kilometres west of Bradford. Bradford is a prominent place in Yorkshire, by the way, if one dare might want to know about it and all the rest of things. Okay. Okay. After a journey on the Keighley and Worth Valley Railway, it's hard to believe that the line is only 4 3/4 miles, 7.5 kilometres long. It feels twice that length. It may be the 3.5 intermediate stations or the twisting valley that delude one's scenes, but the railway offers visitors much more than its length would suggest. This is one of the oldest standard gauge preserved railways, having opened to passengers 6 weeks before the end of steam on British Railways in 1968, and 6 years after the line was closed down. The society that still runs the railway, one of the most democratic of any preserved railway, had come into being when the late Bob Cryer MP called a public meeting soon after closure to passengers. What really put the line on the map was its use for the filming of The Railway Children in 1969. Based on the novel by E. Nesbitt and starring Jenny Agutter and Bernard Cribbins, the film brought tens of thousands of visitors to the railway. Its unique atmosphere and its wide range of stock has ensured the frequent use of the railway by film and television companies, notably the use of Keighley for the emotional departure scene in Yanks with Richard Gere. One of the advantages of being in the vanguard of railway presentation was that the Keighley and Worth Valley and its supporting societies were able to acquire some very choice examples of both locomotives and rolling stock. Amongst them are carriages built as long ago as the 1870s, such as the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway Directors' Saloon and the beautifully restored Great Central Railway four-wheeled coach in which H.R.H., the Duchess of York, has travelled. Such gems are used only on special occasions, but even the most modern carriage on the railway dates from 1961. Parking at stations in the valley is very limited, so it is best to begin a journey at Keighley, which can be reached by frequent West Yorkshire Metro trains from Leeds and Bradford. Other than a renewal of sign, little seems to have changed on platform 4 since the Midland Railway rebuilt the whole of Keighley Station in 1883. The period W.H. Smith outlet shelters under the ornately bracketed canopy that follows the gentle curve of the platform as it points up the railway. This curve, compounded by the 1 in 66 gradient, proved the undoing of the opening train in 1867, which slipped ignominiously to a standstill. The resourceful driver, however, reserved right through the station to take a good run at it and conquered the slope without further embarrassment. The climb to Ingro is still a test for engine crews, and the line continues to climb all the way to Oxenhope. Some of the mills that provided much of the line's good traffic can still be seen here and there up the valley, but many have gone. Ingro Station has been transformed since the early 1980s, when it had a derelict air, the original vandalized station having been demolished, thanks principally to the generosity of a society member. A Midland Railway stone station building in Lancashire was dismantled and re-erected here. Oil lamps were installed and the stout entrance gates were recovered from a Keighley goods yard when it was replaced by a supermarket. Pausing briefly at the request stop of Damon's, reputedly the smallest railway station in Britain, the station soon enters Damon's passing loop, specially put in by the Keighley and Worth Valley Railway to increase the number of trains that can be operated. Pasture edged with stone walls and well dotted with trees lines the railway as it climbs to Oakworth Station, where Mr. Perks held court in The Railway Children. The gas lamps, enamelled advertising signs, milk churns, and the superbly restored interior make the station a period delight. The train soon reaches one of the favourable places for photographers, the three-arc Mytholm's Viaduct, seen from the top of the tunnel of the same name and the scene of several sequences in that memorable film. After passing the huge mass of Eber Mill, Haworth is reached, where many leave the train either to visit the locomotive shed and workshops or to explore the hometown of the Bronte sisters. The enduring fascination of the literary family has made the Mills town the focus of a major tourist industry. There is a lovely walk between Haworth and a terminus at Oxenhope that follows the railway, crossing a 17th century pack horse bridge and affording sight of three chimneys used as a home of the railway children. Walkers can enjoy refreshments at Oxenhope and look round the museum, where some of the line's most historic vehicles and locomotives are kept before taking the train home from the delightful station. Train service daily from June through to the end of August, and weekends throughout the year. Telephone 01535 647 777 /645 214. The end. Thanks everybody all for watching. We've got another 20 odd more pages of the book to go, and then that will be the completion of Learning Steam Railway History with Foxy for the Foxy's Fun Inspirational Chat series. But we're not there yet. We're not terribly, I wouldn't say not terribly far, but we're, I don't know if one could say we're tantalisingly close to the end of the Learning Steam Railway History, but we're nearly there. That's what I would go as far as saying. Thanks everybody for watching, and I shall certainly see you in the very next video. Ta-ta, another time. From Foxy.